Welcome back to SwitchTop. Today, we're running through my top 25 best cozy games across the Switch and Switch 2. A mix of old favorites, recent releases, and a couple of things you might have slept on. Let's get into it. Moonlight Peaks takes the Stardew formula and drags it into the dark. You're the rebellious child of Dracula, fleeing your father's shadow to settle into an abandoned Gothic homestead in a town where werewolves, witches, and mermaids are just your neighbors. The farming loop is familiar. Plant crops, raise livestock, build relationships. But everything runs on a mana system tied to shapeshifting and spellcasting, and the whole game plays out under a permanent night sky. 7 rival families hide generations of drama, and there are nearly 24 romanceable characters, including some genuinely weird options. Quality of life stuff like proximity crafting and real-time NPC map icons make it feel more modern than most farming sims. It's not reinventing the genre, but the vampire coat of paint gives it real personality. Go-Go Town. You get kidnapped by a corporation and handed the keys to a dying town, told to make it profitable. That's Go-Go Town in a sentence, and the writing leans into how absurd that premise is. You lay streets, place shops and homes, harvest resources from fishing spots, mines, farms, and forests, then turn them into goods through workshops. Story mode gates progress behind milestones. Create mode unlocks everything up front for a sandbox feel. Split screen and online co-op let a friend cause chaos alongside you, sabotaging traffic or just high-fiving cows for fun. It's a genuine city builder wearing a cozy skin, closer to SimCity crossed with Animal Crossing. And it's stressful in the way management sims always are, but somehow still relaxing. Cozy Caravan. You play a guild rookie, a customizable animal character traveling with your best friend Bubba across the land of Harvest Vale in a caravan pulled by a giant bumblebee. The loop is exploration over destination. Stop at towns, help villagers with quests, gather ingredients, craft food and clothing, then set up a market stall once a week to sell what you've made. There's stone skipping, fishing, hide and seek, and helping cafes through a lunch rush, all building toward the town-wide whiz-bang fair. It runs deliberately slow, almost to a fault, and there's no real conflict or tension anywhere in it. If you want a game that's purely about the vibes of travel and small kindnesses, it delivers. If you need urgency, this one won't give it to you. Cleaning up strips away the puzzle layer and just gives you a vacuum, a mop, and a mountain of trash. You're a new cleaning gig worker taking jobs across increasingly strange locations. A hoarded apartment, a haunted mansion where you're dodging ghosts, an ancient temple hiding a treasure room. Each level is a short, self-contained mess to clear, and clearing it well earns prestige and cash for new tools and outfits. It's shorter and less puzzle-heavy than the developer's earlier work, closer to a satisfying 15-minute wind-down than a deep game. There's some solid level variety and a bit of dry humor in the writing, but at its core, this is exactly what it says on the box. Turn a mess into a clean room, repeat. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Bowser Jr. finds a living, talking encyclopedia in the castle library and accidentally sends it crashing onto Yoshi's island. The book, Mr. Encyclopedia, can't see what's happening inside his own pages, so Yoshi dives in to document the creatures living there. Instead of racing to a flagpole, the whole point is observation. Eat a creature to learn what it does, throw the resulting egg, watch how things react, and once you've fully studied a creature and hit an objective in its habitat, you get to name it. It's a side-scroller built around curiosity rather than combat, with a hand-drawn picture book art style that shifts the moment you're inside the pages. There's barely any real conflict in the story, which is unusual for a Yoshi game, and that's exactly the point.
It looks like there are still lots of unusual creatures residing within the book.
Moomintroll, Winter's Warmth. From the team behind Snufkin, this one puts you in control of Moomintroll himself, waking up early from hibernation to find Moominvalley wrapped in the frost of the Lady of the Cold. Loosely adapting Tove Jansson's Moominland Midwinter, it's a story-driven puzzle adventure where you wander a watercolor-style world, meeting old and new characters and solving gentle environmental puzzles to help them. There's no combat and barely any real threat, just a slow journey about learning to cope with loneliness and an unfamiliar season. You don't need to have played Snufkin first, this stands on its own, though the tone and pacing will feel familiar if you have. It's short, melancholic in places, and genuinely warm by the end. Tiny Bookshop. You leave your old life behind to run a mobile, secondhand bookshop out of a trailer in the seaside town of Buxtonbury. Every day, you choose a location, stock your shelves across 7 genres, and open up shop while real, actual, published books, complete with blurbs, page counts, and publication dates, fill your inventory. Customers wander up with vague requests, and matching the right book to the right person for a sales bonus is the whole hook. Decorating your shop with plants or candles changes how customers behave, and completing missions for regulars slowly reveals the town's backstory. It's low stakes, genuinely well written, and probably the best cozy game out there if you're the kind of person who can't walk past a used bookstore without going in.
No noise. Just you, your books, friendly customers, and a town full of
Wylde Flowers. You inherit your grandmother's farm in the coastal town of Fairhaven, only to discover she was secretly a witch. And now, so are you. Wylde Flowers blends standard farming sim chores, crops, animals, cooking, fishing, with a real story campaign built around dozens of named characters, seasonal festivals, and a slow burn mystery involving the town's history. Spellcasting gets folded into everyday tasks, from boosting crop growth to brewing potions that help townsfolk with their problems. It's fully voice-acted, which is rare for the genre, and the writing carries real weight compared to most farm sims that treat story as an afterthought. If you want Stardew Valley with an actual plot and a supernatural twist, this is the one people point to first. Coffee Talk Tokyo. A visual novel where you run a late-night coffee shop in an alternate Tokyo where humans live alongside elves, orcs, and other fantasy folk. You take orders, brew drinks by matching ingredients to recipes, and serve them up while eavesdropping on your customers' problems. Career stress, relationship drama, identity questions, all filtered through a fantasy lens that somehow makes it easier to talk about real things. The gameplay is minimal by design. This is a game you read as much as you play, sipping through quiet conversations between people who keep coming back to your counter. It's a direct successor to the original Coffee Talk, with a new city, new regulars, and the same low-key, rainy night atmosphere that made the first one a favorite for anyone who wants a game to unwind to rather than grind through. Spiritfarer. You play Stella, a fairy master for the dead, sailing a boat that grows and transforms as you build cabins, gardens, and workshops onto it to house the spirits you're guiding to the afterlife. Each spirit is an animal with their own personality, backstory, and unresolved feelings, and your job is to care for them, cook their favorite meals, hug them, listen to them until they're ready to pass through the Everdoor. Underneath the platforming and resource gathering is a game explicitly about grief, caregiving, and letting go, and it does not soften that. It will make you cry more than once, and it earns every bit of it. If you've ever taken care of someone at the end of their life, this game understands that experience in a way almost nothing else in gaming does. Untitled Goose Game. You're a goose. Nobody in the sleepy English village asked for this, and that's the entire joke. It's a stealth puzzle game where your only real tool is being an obnoxious bird, honking, stealing, tripping people, and generally ruining everyone's morning through a checklist of increasingly petty tasks. Steal a gardener's rake, get a boy to eat a vegetable he hates, get thrown out of the pub. Each puzzle is small and self-contained, built around watching NPC routines and figuring out how to disrupt them just enough. It's short, but it's tightly designed, endlessly quotable, and one of the few games where being a genuine menace is the entire point. There's nothing else quite like it, and honestly, there doesn't need to be. Yoshi's Crafted World. Every level here looks like it's built out of actual cardboard, felt, and household junk, and that diorama aesthetic is the whole appeal. It's a standard Yoshi side-scroller at heart, eat enemies, throw eggs, hunt for flowers and coins. But the twist is that most stages can be replayed backwards from a reversed camera angle, revealing secrets you couldn't see the first time through. Multiplayer lets a second player ride along as Poochie, and the whole thing is built for co-op chaos more than precision platforming. It's not the hardest Yoshi game, and it's not trying to be. It's a warm, tactile, kid-friendly platformer that rewards a second look at every stage, which is a genuinely clever hook most platformers never bother with. PowerWash Simulator. There's a pressure washer, there's grime, and there's nothing else you need to know. You clean vehicles, houses, playgrounds, and eventually some genuinely elaborate set pieces, working across the surface in slow, sweeping passes until every last speck of dirt is gone. It sounds like it shouldn't work as a game, and then you play it for 4 hours without noticing time passing. There's a very light story told through notes and radio chatter, hinting at what happened to the town. But nobody's here for plot. Co-op lets you and a friend split a job, and licensed content packs have added everything from Tony Hawk's skate park to a Warhammer bunker. It's the platonic ideal of a mindless, satisfying task turned into a full game, and it works exactly as well as it sounds. Strange Antiquities. The sequel to Strange Horticulture swaps plants for cursed relics. You're the new apprentice at an occult antiques shop in the fog-choked town of Undermere, and your mentor has vanished. Customers bring in problems. You cross-reference reference books to identify the right cursed object for the job, and sometimes you're given 2 options where the wrong pick has real consequences for the story. Present the wrong item too often, and a fear meter climbs, triggering a dice-matching minigame to calm it back down. Meanwhile, a sickness is spreading through town, and your choices genuinely affect who lives. It's cozy in atmosphere candlelit shop, a cat named Jupiter to pet, but unsettling in tone, and that mix of comfort and dread is exactly why it works. Snufkin, Melody of Moominvalley. Snufkin comes back from his winter travels to find Moominvalley overrun with ugly, over-regulated parks, signs everywhere telling people not to smoke, sniff, or camp, and Moomintroll nowhere to be found. As Snufkin, you sneak past park rangers, pull up signs, topple statues, and use your harmonica to charm creatures and solve musical puzzles, restoring the valley to its wild, green state, one park at a time. There's no combat here at all. The developers built the entire moveset around music instead, which fits the source material's gentle, anti-authoritarian spirit. It's an open, exploration-driven platformer with over 50 characters to meet, and while the map can be genuinely disorienting, the atmosphere and soundtrack more than make up for it. Duck Side of the Moon. You're Doug, an overworked duck astronaut who crash lands on a strange little planetoid after a mission goes sideways. Rather than panic, Duck Side of the Moon leans fully into the idea that this crash might be the break Doug actually needed. You mine glowing caves and volcanoes for materials, craft gadgets, and slowly rebuild your ship into a proper home, all while meeting the planet's locals, including a crew of disco-loving talking rocks whose party you accidentally crashed and now have to help revive. It's short, wholesome, and unapologetically silly, right down to a dedicated quack button. Underneath the jokes, there's a real gentle message about slowing down and learning that rest isn't something you need to earn. Outbound hands you an empty camper van and a near-future world that's basically a utopia, then lets you turn that van into whatever home you want. You drive across distinct biomes, scavenging wood and materials, powering your rig with solar, wind, or water, and building out modular furniture and workstations inside and on top of the vehicle. There's a garden system for growing food, a pet you can adopt and train, and up to 4-player online co-op for road tripping with friends. It's genuinely light on story and structure, which some players find freeing and others find empty. But as a pure vehicle building and exploration sandbox, it's one of the most relaxing things on the system. Nobody's grading you here. You just drive, build, and look at the view. Pikmin 4 is the friendliest entry point the series has ever had, and it's still fundamentally a real-time puzzle game about managing an army of tiny plant creatures. You command squads of Pikmin to fight enemies, break obstacles, and carry treasure back to your ship, racing the in-game clock each day to optimize routes and multitask across the map. This entry adds Ochi, a rescue dog who can carry Pikmin, swim, and fight on his own, plus night missions that flip the formula into something closer to a tower defense scramble. The core loop is still about efficient planning, wrapped in an incredibly cute package, and the dungeons you dig through with Ochi add a genuinely new wrinkle to a series that's been mostly surface-level exploration until now. Cozy Grove. You wash up as a spirit scout on a cursed, ever-changing island, tasked with helping ghost bears work through their unfinished business so they can finally move on. Cozy Grove runs on real-world time, 1 day of tasks per day you actually play, and each session you gather resources, craft, fish, and slowly restore color to a world that starts almost entirely gray. Every bear you help unlocks a new piece of the island's story, and the writing is more melancholic than the bright art style suggests. It's built for short, daily check-ins rather than long sessions, closer to Animal Crossing's pacing than a traditional farm sim. And if you're the kind of player who likes a game that rewards you for just showing up regularly, this fits that exactly. Unpacking has no dialogue and no real objective beyond taking items out of boxes and placing them somewhere sensible. That's it, and it's enough. Across 8 moves spanning someone's life, from childhood bedroom to shared apartment to somewhere that clearly signals a breakup, you piece together a person's story entirely through their belongings. Where a diploma ends up, whether a childhood toy makes the cut, what gets shoved in a drawer versus displayed. Every choice tells you something without a single line of text. It's a puzzle game at its mechanical core, since some items only fit certain rooms. But the emotional weight comes from what those puzzles quietly reveal. It's one of the smartest uses of environmental storytelling in any medium, not just games. Animal Crossing New Horizons. You move to a deserted island and, over months or years, turn it into whatever you want it to be. New Horizons runs on real time, has no fail state, and no real goal beyond paying off your loan to Tom Nook and decorating a life you actually enjoy logging into. Fish, catch bugs, dig up fossils, terraform the island's terrain, and shape villager relationships day by day. Seasonal events, a robust design tool, and one of the deepest customization systems in gaming keep people playing years after launch. It's slower than almost anything else on this list, and deliberately so. The entire appeal is that nothing here is urgent. For a huge number of people, this was the game that got them into cozy games in the first place, and it's still the benchmark the genre gets measured against. Stardew Valley is still the reference point for the entire modern farming sim genre, and after everything it's inspired, it's still one of the best. You inherit a rundown farm from your grandfather, escape a soul-crushing corporate job, and build a life in Pelican Town, planting crops, raising animals, fishing, mining, fighting through combat dungeons, and slowly befriending or romancing a whole cast of well-written villagers. What sets it apart is how much game is actually packed under the cozy surface. Real combat, deep crafting trees, multiple valid playstyles, and a level of polish that one developer somehow delivered solo. Multiplayer lets you split a farm with friends. Years of free updates have only added more. If you've somehow never played it, this is still the one to start with. A short hike. You're a bird named Claire, hiking up a mountain to get cell signal for a call from your mom. And that's basically the entire plot. A short hike is only a couple of hours long, but it's built with a generosity most open-world games never manage. Every hidden path leads somewhere worth finding. Every side character has a small, complete story. And climbing feels genuinely satisfying thanks to a stamina system built around gliding and gold nuts. There's fishing, treasure hunting, and a scattering of optional challenges, but none of it feels like padding. It's proof that a cozy game doesn't need dozens of hours to leave a mark. Short, warm, and precisely paced, it's one of the best designed small games on the whole platform. Grand Bazaar leans into the series' roots as the true origin of the farming sim genre, remaking the beloved Grand Bazaar setup with modern quality-of-life improvements. You farm, raise animals, and craft goods, but the real hook is the weekly bazaar itself. Set up a stall, price your wares, and sell directly to townsfolk in a system with more personality than a typical shipping bin. Multiple romanceable candidates, deep crafting trees, and seasonal festivals round it out. And the game supports flexible, multi-directional play, so you're never boxed into one efficient route. It's a genre veteran doing what it's always done, just refined. For longtime fans who feel like Stardew borrowed everything from this series in the first place, this is the reminder of where it all came from. Pokemon Pokopia is Switch 2's biggest cozy swing yet, and it earns the top spot. You play a Ditto that wakes into a withered, human-free world where Pokemon and people once lived together. And instead of battling, you're crafting, building, and terraforming with abilities pulled straight from the Pokedex. Rock Smash breaks walls. Leafage grows plants. Dive opens up underwater areas. Every Pokemon you recruit helps rebuild the land differently. And the loop of gathering, building, and slowly filling out a paradise you can invite friends into via local or online game share feels genuinely fresh for the franchise. It plays like Nintendo finally building its own real answer to Animal Crossing, using 30 years of creature design as the toolset. For a first entry in a new spin-off direction, it's remarkably confident, and it's the best cozy game on Switch 2 right now. That's the list. Cozy games have quietly become one of the deepest genres on Switch and Switch 2, and this is really just the surface. Let me know in the comments which one you're picking up first, and if I missed one you think deserves a spot, drop it below.